Hello Sitecore Techies, welcome back to my Sitecore Diaries, your ultimate guide to digital experience excellence. If you're new here, this is your go-to channel for everything in Sitecore and .NET. I'm Jitendra Ghanekar, Sitecore Technology MVP 2024, three-time Sitecore certified, XM Cloud certified. Today we are exploring a different topic but very critical for your Sitecore headless development. Today we are diving into an exciting topic, React or Next.js. Which one we should use for our next Sitecore headless project development. We'll explore their unique features, use cases, and when to use Next.js and or when to use React. But before we get started, make sure to hit that like button if you find this content helpful. Share it with your fellow Sitecore professionals. Comment below with your thoughts or questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on notification bell. You can join our community also. Alright, let's jump in and let's start today's content. Let's go into the presentation mode. So what we are going to see in this video. First of all, what we will see what is React. Then we will see React features. Then what is Next.js. We will see what are the different features of Next.js. We will see important concept, that is client side and server side rendering and the difference between that. Then finally we will see what is the difference between React and Next.js, and at the end we will see when to use Next.js. So what is React? It is a popular JavaScript library used for building UI and SPA. So specifically it is a JavaScript library which is used for building UI and SPA. SPA is single page application. So what is single page application? We can have a detailed video on single page application later, but for this video let me quickly brief it. Generally when you see any website or click on any link, you will see a post back or a browser is getting refreshed. In the case of single page application, website content get updated without reloading of a browser. So a single page application is a type of web application or website that dynamically updates the content on a single web page without requiring the browser to load an entirely new page from the server. Then it is created and maintained by Facebook. So Facebook has developed the React. So it follows a component based architecture. Now what is component based architecture? Component based architecture is in React is a design approach where the user interface UI is broken down into small reusable and self-combined pieces called components. The web page can have a different section like header, footer, menu, banner, call to action. All those small elements are called components. Okay, so component based architecture is basically an approach where you break down this your page into a small reusable components. Okay, reusable elements. These components represent the specific part of the UI such as a buttons, form, navigation bar or an entire page section, and are composed together to build a complex UIs. It's the same concept what we use in Sitecore. So it's a component based architecture. So React follows the component based architecture. Optimize updates and rendering using virtual DOM. Now what is virtual DOM? The virtual DOM is a concept used in libraries like React to improve web application performance. Instead of directly manipulating the real DOM, the React creates a virtual representation of the UI in the memory. So instead of directly manipulating the real DOM, it updates the virtual representation of the UI in the memory. So when the state of application changes, the virtual DOM is first updated. React then calculates the most efficient way to update the real DOM to match the virtual one, reducing the number of manipulation and improving the performance. Okay, so basically it's a replica of your DOM into a memory, which will get first updated and then your actual DOM will get updated. So that's optimize the updates and renderings. The last one is the flexible, better performance and strong community support. So React has a strong community supports also. So React is the JavaScript library which is created by Facebook. It is a components based architecture. It uses a virtual DOM to optimize the updates and renderings, and it's a flexible, better performance and strong community support. So important point is it's a JavaScript library. Let us see now what are the different React features we have. Virtual DOM, we have already discussed what is virtual DOM. Then the unidirectional data flow. Data flows in a single direction, which make it easier to understand and debug the application. So unidirectional data flow in the React, data flows in a single direction from parents components to a child component. This means the parent component owns the state and passes it down to the children through props. Child components cannot modify the state directly. They can only receive data via props and require changes by triggering callback functions provided by the parents. So it has a unidirectional data flow. Data flows from parents to children. It can't go children to parents. Cross-platform development. It enables developers to use a single code base to create an application that works across a different platform, Windows, mobile, etc. Declarative syntax. React uses a declarative approach to define user interfaces. Developers describe what the UI should look like and React handles the rendering. So in React, the declarative UI basically describes what the UI should look like rather than how to update UI. How part is under the hood, and so that the developer should focus on the end state of the UI. So that is the one of the feature of React, declarative syntax. State management. React efficiently manages state changes within components, allowing for dynamic and interactive UI. State is basically an object that represents the current condition or data of a component. When the state of a component changes, React automatically render the components and update the UI to match the new state. So state management is better, they efficiently handled in the React. Component based architecture, we already discussed this. Lifecycle methods. React provides methods that allow developers to control what happens at the different stages of the components file. So different, the complete life cycle of a component, React allows or React provides a methods where you can control what should happen or how the stages should change. JSS, this is also very important. JavaScript XML. JavaScript XML's JSX allows developers to write HTML-like syntax within JavaScript, making the code more readable and easier to write. So JSX, Sitecore React support JSX. JSX is basically a JavaScript XML, which is where you can write the HTML within the JS itself, JavaScript itself. Performance optimization. Features like React's memorization and lazy loading help optimize the performance and application. So performance optimization is a feature of a React. And then at the end of the React hooks. Hooks introduced in the React 16.8 and it let developers use state and other React features without writing a class. So hook allows functional components to manage state and respond to a lifecycle events which were previously limited to the class component. So basically these are the high level features of React. Okay, we are just discuss this at a high level. Let me know if you want each feature to be discussed in detail with example. Then we can have more videos on the React also for each feature. So let's move on. So we have seen what is React and what are the features of React. Now we will see what is Next.js and what are the different features of Next.js. So Next.js is a popular open source React framework created by Vercel. So remember, it's on top of React. Next.js is built, so it's a React framework and it is created by Vercel. Now what is Vercel? Or Vercel is a cloud platform designed for building, deploying and scaling serverless application and static website. Created by the same team behind the Next.js, Vercel provides a seamless, developer-friendly experience for building, deploying, and scaling web projects. So it's a platform where you can build your web projects, you can deploy your web projects, you can scale your web project, and it's the same team worked on both Next.js and Vercel. So it is used to build modern web applications. It is used to build server-side rendered and statically generated React application. So now what is server-side rendered? That we will see later. It's its feature. So it is built server-side rendered and statically generated React application. Highly optimized, scalable and performance-focused web applications. And key point is it is full stack framework. What do you mean by full stack framework? Next.js is considered a full stack framework because it provides a comprehensive set of tools and capabilities for building both the front end, that is user interface, and back end, that is server side logic of a web application. And that is the key difference here. The Next.js is a framework which is used for build both front end and back end, whereas React was a JavaScript library which is built which is used to build UI. Now let's see features of Next.js. Static site generation. So it supports generating static HTML at build time. So it supports the generating the static HTML at a build time, which can be served quickly to users and easily cached. So it is basically using the static HTML. It is generated by generating the static HTML, which can be stored in the cache, like also in the CDN like Cloudflare, where you can easily get that data. So it is support the static site generation. Server side rendering. Again, we will have a detail in server-side rendering in the upcoming slide. For now, it allows pages to be rendered on the server, improving the SEO and performance for a dynamic content. Now, incremental static regeneration, ISR. ISR allows you to update static pages after the site is built. Hybrid static and server rendering. So what the Next.js does is you can use both SSR, that is server side rendering, and SSG in the same project. SSG is your static site generation. Both can be used in the same project depending on the page's requirement. So basically you can generate your you can render your component at the server side, and also you can cache them. So that is what it is saying. You can have the hybrid static and server rendering. API routes. So built-in API routing makes it simple to create API endpoints as a part of your application. API routing in React typically refers to how a React application interacts with the backend APIs to fetch or send data. So how the React application should interact with the APIs, either to fetch a data or send the data, that is your API routing. So Next.js provides a built-in API routing. Automatic code splitting. Only the necessary JavaScript for page is loaded, leading to the faster page loads and better performance. So code splitting is done, and the code which is required to page load is only downloaded or on your browser. So that is faster page and better performance. File-based routing. Its Next.js supports the file-based routing, so it uses a simple file-based routing system, making it easy to create or manage routes. Hot reloading. This is very important. It provides a fast development experience with hot reloading, automatically reflecting the code changes without refreshing the page. So when you make a changes, it will automatically reflect the changes. For that you do not have to refresh the page. Now, if you must have seen, whenever you deploy any application, you have to see the changes, you have to refresh the page. So that is not required. As soon as you deploy, it will be visible on your website. CSS and Sass support. So built-in support for CSS and Sass along with the CSS in JS solution like styled component and the optimized performance. So feature like image optimization, automatic static optimization help create faster and more efficient applications. So these are the features of Next.js: static site generation, server side rendering, incremental static generation, hybrid static and server rendering, API routes, automatic code splitting, file-based routing, hot reloading, CSS and Sass support, and optimized performance. So again, if you like to have a more detailed session on this, we can have a videos. Let me know that in comments. So React and Next.js we can cover in the only one series. Okay. So these are the features of a Next.js. So till now we have seen what is React and what are the different features of React. We have seen what is Next.js and what are the different features of Next.js. Before finding the difference between the React.js and Next.js, there is a very important concept which we need to understand, which will differentiate actually between the React.js and Next.js. So let's understand that concept, and that is client-side rendering versus server-side rendering. So from your browser, a user send a request to your application server. So for the client-side server rendering, what happens is you send a request to the server and the server returns JavaScript files. Now, what does browser do? Browser renders these pages using this JavaScript which are there on your browser at a server side, at your client side. I mean, where you are browsing from that browser, it is dynamically generating the page, and that page will get rendered. So this is what your client side rendering does. Now there is another concept which called as a server side rendering. So what happens in server side rendering? You send a request to a server, and then the server will return it will process everything, and it will create the HTML file, okay, HTMLs, and that will come to the your browser. So it's already the HTML is there on your browser, and that does not need to parse any user interface on the browser. So already the browser is there, the static files are there, static HTML files, and that will generate your UI. Okay, so client-side rendering is the application loads and it generates the output on the browser dynamically. In other words, the browser renders pages using JavaScript. So for client-side, the browser renders the pages using JavaScript. Whereas server-side rendering, the user interface that we see on the screen is not generated by the browser, but on the server application just loads it. Okay, so it's a HTML which is directly loads on the browser. So this is the key difference between client-side and server-side rendering. We'll go in detail with difference between client-side rendering and server-side rendering. The client-side rendering, the SEO can be challenging unless specific measures like pre-rendering or server-side generation are used. So it's not straightforward. The SEO is not straightforward in the client-side rendering. Whereas server-side rendering is better for SEO since search engines can crawl the pre-render HTML directly. So it's HTML is present. So the search engines can directly crawl that pages. Client-side rendering, it requires a caching of API responses or a static asset. So as I said that the page is getting rendered using the JavaScript. So you can cache the JavaScript and CSS assets in the client-side rendering. Whereas server-side rendering, it is easy to catch render HTML pages itself on the content delivery network, CDN. So basically whole site you can get it from the CDN itself because the HTML pages which is getting delivered. Okay, so content you can easily use the content delivery network. Now client-side rendering, slower initial load because the browser must download and execute JavaScript to render the pages. So initial load is slow because everything is happening on your client side. Whereas server side is faster initial load because the browser gets fully rendered HTML from the server. Now client side rendering, initial load may take longer, but once loaded, the interaction and the navigation are much faster, like single page application behavior. So basically once the initial load is done, everything is happening now on the browser itself. There is no round trip to the server. So that tells you that it will be more faster later on. Users see content almost immediately even if the JavaScript hasn't loaded it. Okay. So it's more faster. Server side, you can quickly see the content on the browser. Client side rendering uploads the rendering to the client, so reducing the server load. So server load is automatically reduces because the processing is moved to the client side. Whereas on the server side, the higher server load because the server generates HTML for each request. Okay. So this is the clear difference between client side rendering and server side rendering. And why I said that it is very important to understand this, because the client-side rendering is an example is a React. React behaves as a client-side rendering, whereas Next.js behave as a server-side rendering. So this is the first major difference, that React is a client-side rendering, whereas Next.js is a server-side rendering. Now let's see the difference between React and Next.js. Now you understand the difference between the client-side rendering and server-side rendering. Then it will be easy to understand the difference between React and Next.js. Now let's see the difference between React and Next.js. First of all, React is a JavaScript library. It's not a framework. Whereas Next.js is a framework for React which is built upon the React library. So Next.js is built on top of React. React doesn't support server-side rendering that we have just seen, whereas Next.js supports the server-side rendering as well as the static generation of the websites. React, the webs are comparatively slow. Next.js, the web apps are faster. React basically used to help in building the beautiful UI, the rich UI of a web application, whereas Next.js we can build an entire web application. When we say entire web application, the front end and the back end also. The React, the HTML file index.html is present, whereas in Next.js there is no index.html file. So this is at high level the difference between the React and Next.js. So basically the Next.js is built on top of the React, and React is a client side supports the client side rendering, whereas Next.js supports the server side rendering. Now the key question here is when to use Next.js. First of all, when the application require optimal performance, then we will go for a Next.js. The performance related requirement is there, then we will go with the Next.js. Then we have a SEO driven website. So Next.js is support SEO and you need a SEO driven website, then Next.js is more preferred over React. You have a content heavy application, the Next.js is a right choice. Dynamic or personalized content, you have a multi-channel application, then Next.js is a good choice. Then you have a progressive web applications. Progressive web application where your browser will behave as a like a native apps only. So that kind of application, then you will go for a progressive web application. So all these cases, and an important thing is a e-commerce application. So you have a e-commerce application where you can have a front end as well as a back end logic, then you go for a Next.js. So these are the use cases where you can use Next.js, then where we can use a React. Single page application, we have discussed this initially on this. So single page application, React is the best choice. Whenever there is a SEO is not so important, then you can go for a React. Initial load time is not a critical, then React can be an option. Using a backend framework separately, you have a complete separate backend, then React is a good choice because React is more for the rich UI. And real-time features as a priority. What I mean the real-time feature is quickly the whatever the way it is happening, like you see the news, like the way it is happening, it is quickly getting displayed. Or maybe the social media handles where your posts are coming, like Facebook, it's coming real time, like the Instagram account. Okay, so those kind of thing where you can use for a you can go for a React. Alright friends, we covered a lot today. To sum it up, React is a powerful library for building user interface, allowing you to create interactive UIs with components. It's great for a single page application, but it requires additional tools like React Router, state management libraries for handling routing and global state. Whereas Next.js on the other hand is a full stack framework built on top of React. It adds more features out of the box, like several like server-side rendering, static side generation, API routes, making it an ideal choice for both small projects and large-scale application. Whether you are working with a React for its flexibility or Next.js for its all-in-one solution, both have that their strengths and weakness. But your choice depends on the complexity of your project and what features you need out of the box. Now let me know, would you like to see a series where we deep dive into the React and Next.js with practical examples, use cases, and creating some components using Sitecore? Let me know in the comment if you like to see more hands-on content, how-to tutorials with these technologies. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out any further future content. If you want to get more involved, you can join our community also. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.